Burkina Faso has shocked the world. Not for gold, not for oil, but for a potato. A native variety lost for 900 years, now reborn. President Ibrahim Traoré calls it his nation's new weapon. International experts describe it as Africa's most unexpected economic shift. At dawn, convoys of trucks roll out of Yatenga, sacks filled with Nama potatoes, a crop once thought to exist only in songs and folklore, a crop that saved entire provinces during the Great Famine of the 18th century, is now bound not just for Abidjan or Lagos, but for Paris, Dubai, and Beijing. In just 2 seasons, Burkina Faso became Africa's #1 potato exporter, earning billions of dollars and supplying a third of the continent's demand. But behind the numbers lies a deeper story. This is not just the revival of a crop. It is an attempt to transform ancestral memory into modern economic sovereignty, a bold strategy to challenge the Western aid model. Nama is not just food. It is a living symbol of resistance and self-reliance. Grown through a fusion of local wisdom and modern technology, adapted perfectly to the harsh Sahel climate, it is forcing the world to rethink what African development can look like. The story did not begin in government offices or scientific labs. It began in 2021, in the hills of Tuma. Dr. Abubakar Dekori, president of the Islamic University of Ouagadougou, and a government advisor, stumbled upon a wild dwarf potato. Locals called it the rain root. They claimed it could survive months without water, enrich the soil, and carried spiritual meaning when planted. Its scientific name, Solenostemon rotifolius, a member of the mint family. Genetic tests revealed something astonishing. This was the same Nama referenced in 12th century oral history, thought extinct after colonial agriculture replaced indigenous seeds with imported hybrids. For centuries, Nama survived only in whispers, songs, and secret rituals. The real revolution began when scientists discovered its powers. Nama stores water in its roots for weeks, thrives in poor Sahel soil, and naturally fixes nitrogen, acting as a living fertilizer. When paired with solar-powered irrigation, neem-based biopesticides, and ancestral composting methods, yields skyrocketed by 500% in less than 3 years. By early 2025, Burkina Faso was harvesting 2.5 million tons annually, exporting to more than 25 countries, and meeting 40% of Africa's potato demand. A crop once dismissed as legend was now feeding millions and redrawing trade maps. For President Traoré, Nama was not a commodity. It was policy, even philosophy. In 2023, his government passed a law. Farmers who adopted traditional techniques alongside eco-upgrades would receive not just funding, but cooperative ownership, land security, and export shares. Villages built their own processing centers, turning Nama into flour, starch, and chips under the brand National Roots of Sovereignty. Over 500 women found jobs in processing and logistics. In Tuma, Nama revenues funded scholarships for girls to study soil science abroad. By June 2025, export revenue reached $99 billion. But what captivated the world was not the money. It was the story. This was a crop untouched by patents or foreign corporations. A harvest protected by cultural traditions, traded on Burkina Faso's own terms. President Traoré declared, "Seeds belong to the land, not to shareholders." Refusing to register Nama in any international patent system, Burkina Faso ensured control remained with its people. That defiance sparked Africa's most politically explosive agricultural revolution. In June 2025, the Janari Agricultural Complex opened, a solar-powered factory capable of processing 200,000 tons annually. From the outside, it resembled a Silicon Valley campus more than a potato plant. Conveyor belts ran on solar energy, warehouses were climate-controlled, and women in lab coats tested starch quality by hand. On stage, Traore told farmers and students, "This potato is not for dependence, but for dignity." It was more than a speech. It was a direct challenge to the global agricultural order. Offers had poured in from Monsanto, the World Bank, and major agribusiness firms, but always with strings, patented hybrid seeds, export quotas, foreign lab control. Traore refused. Instead, Law 2025-131 granted tax exemptions to women-led cooperatives and youth-run indigenous crop enterprises. Burkina Faso also launched the Sahel Rail Corridor, linking potato-producing regions directly to African markets with funding from the African Development Bank, Mali, and Ethiopia. For the first time in modern African agriculture, the entire profit chain, from farm to market, remained unbroken and in local hands. The impact was immediate. International media hailed Burkina Faso as writing a new post-colonial trade chapter. Critics called Traoré's approach nationalist protectionism that might scare investors. But in Ouagadougou's streets, the picture was clear. People saw a leader defending national resources without compromise. The cooperative brand Fossil Gold, symbolizing something ancient reborn, appeared on supermarket shelves from Nairobi to Beijing. Demand was so strong that entrepreneurs launched logistics firms solely for Nama's cold chain. In Wahwa, widows used profits to build a community hospital. But warnings soon followed. Analysts in Paris and Washington cautioned Burkina Faso's defiance could invite retaliation. Trade sanctions, aid cuts, pressure campaigns. Yet Traoré remained calm. "We are not building this to please investors," he told journalists. "We are building this to feed our people and free our economy." In a world addicted to foreign approval, Burkina Faso proved that saying no was also a path to survival. Nama was not just an agricultural project. It was social transformation. In 2 seasons, over 500 women gained stable employment, often earning twice their previous wages. Families saw running water in their homes for the first time, or sent children to school without debt. In Touma, 3 girls received scholarships to study soil science in Morocco. In Siba, widows long marginalized became pillars of their community. For Tiotfis, the first time in modern history, villages were not sending youth away to seek work. They were calling them back. Economically, Nama reshaped trade flows. By mid-2025, Burkina Faso supplied 40% of Africa's potato demand and earned $9 billion in revenue. But unlike past exports, the wealth stayed home, funding hospitals, rural electrification, and community seed banks. Politically, the project shifted power balances. Burkina Faso was no longer a weak supplier, but a nation negotiating on its own terms. Neighbors took notice. Mali began reviving indigenous mangoes. Kenya turned to drought-resistant sorghum. But donor-dependent states saw danger in Burkina Faso's path, fearing donor backlash. At home, Nama became a symbol of unity. In a country of diverse communities, Mossi, Fulani, Tuareg, each had its own memory of the potato in folklore. Now, those fragments formed a shared heritage. In cooperatives, elders, women, and youth worked side by side. A simple potato became a tool of national unity. Globally, reactions were mixed. Washington's Africa Bureau warned in a memo that Burkina Faso's indigenous seed policy weakens external leverage. Official statements praised innovation, but biotech firms worried about a model outside their patent system. Brussels feared Nama's eco-certified branding might outcompete European potatoes in premium markets. Some EU officials debated stricter health regulations disguised as support. China, meanwhile, saw opportunity. Already invested in Burkina Faso's solar and rail projects, Beijing aligned itself with Traoré's stance. Sovereignty first. Chinese firms offered cold chain logistics and market access without demanding patents. Analysts called it a soft power play, supporting local initiatives while Western firms demanded control. The global breakthrough came when the UN Food and Agriculture Organization named Burkina Faso a model of food sovereignty. The report praised indigenous seed revival as not only fighting hunger, but offering lessons for climate resilience. Suddenly, Burkina Faso was mentioned alongside the Netherlands and Singapore at global food innovation summits. Traoré cultivated a new image, no longer just a military ruler, but a farmer-statesman. Cameras followed him planting with youth cooperatives, speaking in fields instead of palaces. His words echoed across Africa. What lies buried in our soil is our strength. Not gold, not oil, not uranium. The soul of our land. Still, questions linger. Will the Nama Renaissance endure? History shows many projects shine at first, only to fade under corruption, climate shocks, or market volatility. Burkina Faso faces those risks too. Today, Nama is a success. But will it last 20 years? Can it truly redefine African self-reliance? The answers remain open. One truth, however, is undeniable. A potato buried for 900 years has become a symbol of sovereignty. The Nama Renaissance reminds us that sometimes the greatest weapons are not oil, gold, or guns, but a simple seed. And in Burkina Faso, revolution tastes a lot like a potato steaming in its skin.